we ready to move forward? Okay.
Recording in progress.
There we go. That's what I was waiting to hear. All right, we will call this meeting of the Washoe County Open Space and Regional Parks Commission to order. Brandon, can you run the roll call?
Timothy Dake. Present. Miles Gertler.
Present online.
Sean Hill is not here. Kevin Joel.
Present.
Neil Jones.
Present.
Nick Kearney. Present. Mark Newman.
Present.
Lisa Rhodey.
Present on Zoom.
Thank you. And I do not see our liaison, Marluz Garcia, but we do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. How about Commissioner Newman? Would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'd be honored to, sir. Pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States.
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and
Liberty,
justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you very much. Brandon, would you read the legally required Zoom instructions?
Yes, so this meeting will be held in the County Commission chambers and via Zoom. To attend this meeting via Zoom, please log into the Zoom webinar using the link found on the agenda. You can also join the meeting by typing zoom.us into your computer browser, clicking Join a Meeting on the Zoom website, and entering this meeting ID 898-2690-0042. Alternatively, you can join the meeting via telephone only by dialing 1-669-900-9128. Enter the meeting ID of 898-269-00042 and press pound. For those wishing to provide public comment via Zoom, log into the Zoom webinar using the link on the agenda and utilize the raise hand feature during any public comment period. To provide public comment via telephone only, press star 9 to raise hand and star 6 to mute or unmute.
Thank you very much. Item number 4, public comment. Do we have any general public comment?
I have no general public comment in chambers, no hands raised on Zoom.
Thank you very much. Item number 5, approval of the draft minutes from the Open Space and Regional Parks Commission meeting of September 25th, 2024. I did have one correction. Does anyone else, while I pull that up, does anyone else have any additions or corrections to the minutes?
I didn't see any.
So mine was on the last page. There was a response to a public commenter that was asking about some funding for South Valley's Park from Senator Rosen. It was their words. And in the minutes, I think it didn't clearly kind of state that process because it was saying that Senator Cortez Masto's office denied the funding and no funding was received from the office, but the funding does not come from any senator's office. It was, I don't know what program it was that was applied for, but they were the ones that recommended the application, and the federal program
So like
declined
that,
the
we'll get
application.
the language more clear.
Are there any more further additions, subtractions? Then with the changes by our chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second to the motion?
Commissioner Jones, second.
Jinx. So Commissioner Jones seconds, and is there any public comment on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? None heard, motion carries. Item number 6, acknowledgement and recognition of park operations staff for their outstanding service and contributions to Washoe County.
Good afternoon. For the record, Eric Crump with Washoe County's Community Services Department. So we do have somebody to recognize today, and it makes me sad personally, but I'm sure happy for her today, is our Park Superintendent, Colleen Wallace Barnum's last Park Commission meeting as staff. I suspect we might see her after she retires. So I've had the honor of working with her 19 of her 26 and a half years here with the county. And she is a huge advocate of parks. I don't have to tell you all that. It's been an honor working with her, alongside her. We started back in parks many, many years ago. So I believe there's a resolution that we can read today, but take action on next meeting. So, it wouldn't be a parks meeting if we didn't have something like that. So, Colleen, do you want to come back up?
It is my honor to read this resolution of appreciation and recognition of service for Colleen Wallace Barnum. Whereas Colleen Wallace Barnum has served the citizens of Washoe County and the Regional Parks and Open Space Program for 26 and a half years, starting as a seasonal park ranger and most currently serving as the Park Operations Superintendent, demonstrating exceptional dedication, leadership, and commitment to the community. And whereas Colleen has been instrumental in overseeing numerous projects and initiatives that have significantly enhanced the quality and accessibility of parks and recreational facilities throughout Washoe County. And whereas Colleen's commitment to public service and her ability to foster community engagement have earned her the respect and admiration of her colleagues, community members, and the open space and regional park commissioners. And whereas Colleen's leadership has been pivotal in the successful implementation of various agreements and partnerships, including agreements with the Great Basin Institute, Wilbur May Foundation, William N. Pennington Foundation, and the Robert Z. Hawkins Foundation. And whereas Colleen has shown exemplary service in managing park operations through raising wages for seasonal park employees and implementing citation authority for park rangers to help ensure the safety, maintenance, and improvement of park facilities, which has greatly benefited the residents and visitors of Washoe County. And whereas Colleen's efforts have been instrumental in facilitating community events, securing donations, and enhancing park amenities. And whereas Colleen's contributions have been vital in promoting the mission of the Washoe County Parks to provide exceptional parks, open spaces, and recreational opportunities while preserving natural, historical, and cultural resources. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Open Space and Regional Parks Commission expresses its appreciation to Colleen Wallace Barnum for her dedication to Washoe County and its residents, and wishes Colleen all the best in her well-deserved retirement and future endeavors.
For the record, Colleen Wallace Barnum, thank you very much. It has been an honor to serve the citizens of Washoe County, as I'm one of them. And it's been quite a career, and I appreciate everything everyone has done in this room, because there's a lot that goes into what we do. So thank you all.
And thank you. I've had the pleasure of working with you on many projects. I recall the first time I met you, I think we were putting on the twilight races at Hidden Valley, and I was trying to get the permit. And you said, I'll meet you out there. And you met me out there, and you were driving, I think it was the Honda CRV that you just put up for sale with 250,000 miles on it or something. I
Yes.
saw that just show up for sale, and I was like, I think that was the car that she was driving then. But it was fantastic to, from the first time I met you and your concern about the park and any impacts, whatsoever were apparent. And then to build that trust with you over multiple events and many years of working with you and stuff was very appreciated, as a member of the community. And then now on the Parks Commission, really getting to see how much work that you put in behind the scenes to make everything happen in the parks. And so the Washoe County, you're going to have very big shoes to fill in replacing Colleen, and we are going to miss you.
Thank you. And I have to say, it doesn't come from just me. there are many people who are dedicated to Washoe County Parks, and I couldn't do it without a really wonderful team behind me, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add?
I would just let the record to show that Commissioner Hill showed up at 1:39.
Right. Thank you. Item number 7, presentation, discussion, and adoption of the 2024 Rancho San Rafael Regional Park Master Plan, which includes but is not limited to a prioritized project action list, implementation strategy, maintenance strategies, potential funding avenues for implementation and maintenance, and overall future park management.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Faye Marie Picard. I'm the park planner for Washoe County. As discussed, this is our master plan for the Rancho San Rafael Regional Park. It's been a very exciting process. We began this in February of this year. Our hired consultant is Dig Studios. With me today is Brandon Sobek. He's a principal and co-founder of Dig Studios, as well as Lauren Jarrett. She's our landscape architect and principal for this project. So it's been an honor to work with them during this time and give you this final presentation. So with that, I'll let them take it away.
Awesome.
You'll need to turn the clicker on.
Oh,
It's on the side. It'll be red. Just flick it up, it'll go green.
great.
There you go.
Thank you. Yeah, that would have thrown me off. Thank you all for having us here today. And first, we want to thank the Washoe County team for being such a great client and very easy to work with through this process. So as Faye Marie said, I'm Lauren Jarrett, landscape architect and project manager, and excited to present this plan update to you. It's a very big plan, and there are a lot of recommendations, so we're going to do an overview today, starting with the vision for this park plan update. The vision for Rancho San Rafael Regional Park is to preserve its natural beauty, as well as the cultural significance and enhancing the accessibility, ecology, and recreation for all of its users. This plan is to build off of the park's history, ensuring that its spaces honor the past while evolving to meet the needs of the growing and diverse community of Washoe County. The whole balance of this plan is to balance the conservation and recreation, which is really at the heart of this park. As Faye Marie mentioned, there was a process for this project, and it's been about 8 months long. We started with an in-depth site analysis and really leaned heavily on the public and stakeholder engagement in order to come up with the recommendations. We also did a program and inventory and a needs assessment based on what we heard from the community outreach, and then that's what led us to the recommendations and implementation plan, and then ultimately to here today. So I wanted to give a brief overview of what we heard from the community engagement and what that process looked like. We started with stakeholder meetings and online surveys, as well as a public event to kick off the whole online feature. Our first community engagement had a record number of contributions. We had over 4,800 contributions, as you can see on the screen, which really helped us identify the main goals and the themes of what this plan update should address, as well as opportunities or different amenities that we can look at integrating into the new plan. We recognized pretty quickly that not only is the park divided north and south by McCarran Boulevard, but also some of the themes and goals for this plan update are also divided as well. The north and south have some similar themes and goals, those being similar to what you heard from the vision plan, focusing on preservation, enhancing the ecology, providing clarity throughout the site, increased accessibility, and celebrating the history throughout. However, the south specifically had some more detailed recommendations looking at revitalizing the Great Basin Adventure Park area, now known as Nevada Families and Farms, as well as augmenting some of the existing amenities, and creating a balance by supporting the arboretum growth as well as facilitating large-scale regional events, and increasing the connectivity to the east, especially to UNR and the retail businesses that are in between Sierra and Virginia. So once we were able to establish those goals, we went back to the community. We're able to confirm that these goals were in line with what we had heard from the first time, which you can see on the bottom left hand of the screen. Around 70 to 80% of all respondents highly agreed or strongly agreed with those goals. We also were able to ask about specific amenity implementations and get an idea of what the community really wanted to see there. For example, 90% of the respondents wanted to see the northwest corner of McCarran and Virginia to be programmed instead of currently how it's currently being used. And then 70% of respondents recommended doing a tennis and pickleball facility in that area. We also were able to see that the community preferred a regional-sized bike park over a smaller pump track, but they preferred a smaller skate spot versus a regional-sized skate park, and a few others that we'll get into more in the detailed recommendations. So now to what the actual plan looks like. There are a few different recommendation categories that we broke it down into, which I'll do a brief overview, and then again, Brandon will go into the detailed recommendations. Access and circulation was a high priority here to make sure that we can improve that throughout the site and on all the edges. This includes the pedestrian and vehicular access. I'll go back to the screen. Some of the ones that I want to highlight are the new entrance along McCarran into the south side of the park. So there's a new entrance that would formalize the drive that connects down into San Rafael Drive, also allowing for more formalized parking lots, which are now currently dirt parking lots and a dirt access drive. We see this being a way to reduce the traffic flow on San Rafael Drive, as well as the south neighborhoods, as well as increased access to the park. For pedestrian recommendations, we're looking at increasing the safety of the pedestrian crossing across Sierra Street in 2 different locations by providing enhanced crosswalks there, as well as a sidewalk along Virginia north of McCarran. A couple other recommendations within this section include creating a hierarchy of trails, the consistent trail sections, as well as trail widths, which can help with the intuitive wayfinding throughout the site, and also an efficiency and maintenance of the trail systems, as well as efficient parking, trailheads, and lighting within the existing tunnel. As I mentioned, we did a program overview of what is existing in the site and then identified areas that were needs based on what we heard back from the community. Here's a very long list of what those amenities look like. These are also overlaid onto the maps here so you can see clearly where those are located. We took an approach by looking at items that we need to remain and are in good condition now, existing amenities that need to be enhanced or should be enhanced, as well as new amenities that can be added. And then there's a couple of those that are already in progress, like the All Abilities Playground. When it comes to landscape and ecology, we really wanted to look at mostly ways to create sustainable funding to develop and manage the invasive weed management plan, as well as creating a partnership to make sure that there's nothing from upstream that's coming down into this park and affecting that weed management plan. Also introducing best management practices for green infrastructure, as well as permeable surfaces on any new parking lots that are being proposed. The other important thing to note is that there are a few areas within the park where there is non-programmable turf space or grass space, meaning that it's not currently being used. It's kind of like those strips in between a usable lawn and the driveway. So looking at changing those over to be more native grasslands or rain gardens, just to be a more efficient use of water, as well as preserving the native and natural landscape out there. And then for public art, we took a look at a series of locations of where these could be, but the main recommendation here is to coordinate with the existing Washoe County Arts Program as well as the indigenous communities here. This could be a great way to honor the history of the land and not only the park, and making sure that that cultural heritage gets integrated into the overall park and is there for everyone to celebrate. And then for the utilities and infrastructure improvements, we've identified any of the recommendations specifically associated with program that would need utility infrastructure upgrades as well, specifically the restrooms, lighting, some water lines that would need to be pulled in, and marking out where those need to be, and some areas that need further study to truly understand how those would be integrated. And then parking. Parking was certainly something that we looked into quite a bit to understand how we can balance or create a balance between what the large-scale regional events need versus what the everyday users need. So we've created a diagram that we view as a working diagram that can be used as new improvements come in and how those, how the parking needs will change over time. We have a list of how each parking lot, how many stalls is there, and what that could look like as we move forward. There's a look of that diagram, and now I'll pass it over to Brandon.
Perfect. Thank you, Lauren. And as you can see, there's a lot to take in, a very large park. And so as we went through these bigger moves of systems, program, trails, connectivity, we felt it was important to dive into high-profile, high kind of intensity use areas and get into the details of those recommendations to provide a little bit more guidance into the future. And so this is an overview of the next couple of slides that we'll be going through, which identifies these zones, essentially. So the disc golf and tennis pickleball represented that zone that Lauren had mentioned about being reprogrammed so it could bring some value and some activation to that corner. So we'll take a look at that. The Nevada Farms Families and basically Great Basin Adventure area, we'll get into some detail on that area and the different amenities that we've heard from the community that they'd love to see there, from splash and play and amphitheaters and how that could stitch together. We had a lot of great discussions with the Arboretum and plans for expansion, and had some modified plan suggestions from past plans on how to potentially better integrate into existing improvements that are already there. And then some technical things from South Entry sequencing, which is, by some of the historic buildings out there, how we can utilize spaces a little bit better, from discussions that we've had with facilities and maintenance on their needs and how that could potentially clarify some of the circulation in the park. And then this zone that we've described as kind of the park gets into this overarching, other kind of large-scale identity piece that we got in from a branding and wayfinding perspective about the zoning of the park and how when new amenities come in, they can respond to the different areas. So the park space is already developed as a true kind of neighborhood park space. It has a different look and feel than if you were to go further north and all of a sudden you're in kind of the multi-use pasture. You go over McCarran and it's something that feels very native and natural. By zoning the certain areas, we can then identify when new opportunities for amenities come in, where they go. And the park is a great kind of neighborhood kind of improvement space. So I'll flip through these really quick. The tennis court pickleball facility had a lot of discussions with UNR on how this could be a joint use facility and a partnership between county and UNR that could provide value to kind of both of those entities at the same time. It would be a public use facility, and what's shown on the screen is a test fit layout to say, hey, this can occur. It's a great spot for it when you think about the overall kind of context of the park, given that the view sheds are already compromised because the softball fields are right there. You already have high-level lighting. That's owned and operated by the city of Reno, so you have a little bit different time frames. It's not as sensitive as an area. So I think there was, during the first round of outreach, there was a lot of discussion, but then finding this location and showing this location, the second round of outreach received a lot of positive feedback. Part of this location would then be discussion with the disc golf community, and we've had those discussions already and said, hey, what do you think about this idea? Are you married to a couple of these holes, or if something like this came in, could we use some of the space to reroute some things? And they've been really open to kind of win-win situations and saying, hey, if it's something that is benefiting the community in a way that we can activate this corner, then yes, we'd love to work together to reroute some of the holes in the disc golf course. The Nevada Farms and Families area, like I mentioned, was a big focus of how to basically reinvigorate that space. We heard stories from day one about bringing the family there, having all these memories there, and how do you bring that joy and excitement back? We went through some conversations with the county about functionality of some of the older features like the log flume ride and some of the safety and hazard concerns that are out there. The recommendation in the plan is to replace those functions but bring back kind of the joy and excitement. So there's a couple of different ways and programs that we're recommending, from amphitheater spaces redoing the lake edge experience, what we're calling kind of a destination adventure play that brings back kind of the Great Basin adventure, but does it in a way that doesn't require, staffing and those types of ongoing maintenance concerns, but does it as a kind of a public play space. And then treating the entire area kind of like a holistic children's garden that ties into the Arboretum. There was a lot of positivity about letting the momentum of the Arboretum and the feel of the Arboretum kind of spill over into this space and build that connection a little bit more, both from look and feel, but also from programming as well. You could imagine with all the events that the Arboretum's having a true amphitheater space could really support those. So just some children's garden imagery, that idea of the destination event play. This is actually looking as if you were standing on the existing bridge out there. The cool thing is there's a lot of existing grade and elements and fun things already there. Like half of it's there, it's just kind of building on those pieces and bringing it forward and playing with that Arboretum influence. One thing that we were looking at as well was reducing the amount of concrete in circulation. There's that big kind of concrete maintenance path that goes through the shotcrete slopes out there. If we could remove that, we all of a sudden have basically the topography for a really engaging, like splash pad water feature type play environment. And so that's what we were looking at with the creek. One piece to that puzzle then would be modifying that main promenade down to the dock area with a turnaround and getting that ADA accessible. So you can kind of see a picture of what that looks like when you get rid of the shotcrete. You still have the bridge over the top and you still have the grading, but it could be really vegetated and really quite pleasant to be in. And then the amphitheater band shell, there's a couple of buildings out there that have really good bones. One is the operation building for the old log flume ride. It's got the roll-up doors. It would be a perfect little concession area, picnic type zone that could be repurposed. 14 that you see on this image is the actual band shell, and then redo of the restrooms that have the old Marshall Beef sign on it. So you can see how that kind of gets stitched together, creating really great edges and really great performance space. And then looked at picnic zones, more engaging lake edge experiences. The dock out there is very hidden. It's something that we've seen a lot of people fishing, and it's something that's talked about. How can you increase that access and direct kind of access to the water? So we like the idea of integrating that zone with Herman's Pond a little bit better. And then this is a zoom in on the Arboretum expansion. If you recall from some past plans, the building, this idea of Arboretum's Visitor Center was kind of out to the corner. What we've suggested in this plan is that it's a great use to have that Arboretum's Visitor Center and something that that team is very excited about. But if we can actually flip it and bring it to the south side of this zone, it would actually stitch into the existing Arboretum gardens and footprint day one, so you wouldn't have to expand out to it. It actually would take advantage of the view basically down the hill over Herman's Pond and kind of be adjacent to the new succulent and cactus garden. The other thing that really excited us about this was the ability to actually integrate it into the hillside slope. So it offered opportunities for lookouts into the Arboretum, but then also offer opportunities for vertical circulation. So think of like internal elevators. So if you're, strolling around with 3 kids in a stroller, you can use, sometimes the topography of the gardens is difficult to traverse. So by moving that building south, we could look for opportunities to increase accessibility. This also includes program that we heard from the Arboretum that was desired, and greenhouses, a little bit more maintenance yard and expanded parking facilities. This does include a upgraded entrance at Sierra Street. So just kind of a couple of precedent images. So this is that zone over by the historic ranch house. You go to the space now, a lot of what you experience is the asphalt and maintenance vehicles and maintenance carts. And we saw the context of the surrounding buildings really offering that space something else where it could be programmed and celebrated as like an entry into the Arboretum in itself, and somewhere where events could spill out from the historic ranch house. And make this a space. And so this led to the discussion of extracting maintenance and operations out of this area, increasing the amount of office and storage space across the park. I'm actually going to flip 2 more. into a maintenance yard, expanded maintenance yard. And I think everybody's excited about this idea of consolidating where all that type of traffic is. So basically moving that function from there, letting the area and the green space outside of the historic ranch house be kind of more respectful and more programmable to the things that happen there, and then bring the more maintenance function back over into a larger yard. And then really quickly to wrap, because I know that we're probably quick on time. This is the overall park space, and so a lot of the day-to-day neighborhood programs that we heard from the communities, more sport fields, basketball courts, water feature splash pad, more ramadas, all those things find homes kind of in this new park, kind of dedicated park area, including better and increased circulation, which sometimes is just widening of pathways. Some of those pathways out there are like 2.5 feet wide, and so just bolstering accessibility. One question that we did ask in the second round of outreach is what you'd like to see in that sunken kind of sand pit area. And we got like an equal on basketball, climbing, and public art. And so we found a location for basketball within the park space, but we thought that it could be kind of an interesting opportunity to think of public art and outdoor recreation experience kind of in one space. You already have the grading there. It could stitch into the play experience and be something where it's rotating or permanent public art, but then it could have a climbing aspect to it and bring that kind of bouldering piece into it. So just a fun idea that came out of public outreach, and I'll end on making it happen.
Yeah, I'll keep this section quick just so we can open up for Q&A, but that was a lot of great recommendations. So how are we suggesting to make this happen, and not only to find the funding to create these things, but also to maintain them? We've created a implementation guide or implementation matrix as the last chapter of this, which has each of the recommendations in the plan outlined in an Excel file that's meant to be used as a working guide for the county to help make these recommendations happen. Each recommendation has a full description, priority, which is based on what we heard from the community outreach, any related projects that may be related to that specific recommendation, as well as a budget number, agencies that should be involved, as well as potential funding sources for them.
It's just been my observation that tennis courts are almost always empty, and pickleball courts are packed all day long. I've been observing this for several years. It not only around here, but in Arizona, where I do spend a little bit of time. And I'm noticing that the indoor courts, obviously that's going to be a pretty expensive observation and capital expense there. Is there any way that you can paint in pickleball so that the pickleball athletes can get into the inside? Because that doesn't look like it on this drawing.
Yeah, that's a good observation. And yes, I actually have seen that where they'll use the tennis courts on the inside, keep the tennis courts for flexibility, but then be able to bring in temporary pickleball nets to host indoor tournaments. I think a lot of that program will be developed, I think, as the funding sources and the partnership come along as well, in terms of UNR's take and what they're looking for from the facility, Washoe County's take and what they're looking for from the facility. I think the intent of the master plan piece was to identify the area and the general kind of scale of what would be going there and the program. But I do think you're right. I mean, I think the indoor piece of it and how that gets broken down is something that can be kind of distilled further as that project becomes reality.
Okay, thank you.
Any, Commissioner Newman?
Well, I know on the last comment of combining the Reno Parks and Washoe County Parks, we've been going out over that for a few years. It's still going around. And there was one other one that, for all the parking that you're putting in, that's going to be great. Is that going to come in first, or is that going to come in at the end?
That would be filtered in. Again, it's a 1 to 20-year plan. There are some immediate things and some long-term things. I think what Lauren was talking about, one of the major kind of vehicular recommendations is having that true entrance off of McCarran that brings in, that basically connects McCarran. There's 2 left turn lanes that are already designated, and they go to basically unsanctioned dirt parking lots right now that people use often. We had conversations with NDOT about the use of that right-of-way, and on the north side, making that parking lot, actually conform to standards and be something that's asphalt, and on the southern side, be able to use that as an access in. I think that access in will be a precursor to any increased parking on the west side of the park, but then would also be a precursor to new amenities like skate spots or bike parks. We just need that, otherwise we'd be moving a lot of traffic kind of through the neighborhoods and through San Rafael Drive. So the idea of that vehicular connection is to kind of reduce the amount of load that they would see in the neighborhood side. So to answer your question, it would be not all day one, it would be kind of per section by section as it comes in. In the new parking, that would be with the Arboretum expansion, obviously would be with the Arboretum expansion. So as the visitor center comes in, then that parking would come in. As the tennis center comes in, then that parking would come in. The intent is whenever those programs come in, the parking gets up to serve those programs.
Okay, the reason I asked, I went up and saw the dragon lights, and we ended up parking at top by the dog park.
Yep. So I will say to that point, there are some day one parking improvements that are recommended for existing lots that would drastically increase the amount of parking. For example, the parking lot in front of the museum is highly inefficient in terms of simply how it's striped and how it's functioned. So one recommendation on that is to take some of the overflow area, which I've been out several times, and on a handful of them, it's already filled with cars anyways. Basically take that overflow area, do a slight expansion, but really get efficiency on lot counts. And I think we doubled the amount of spaces in that zone, but then also allowed for bus pull in and drop off. So added another exit out of that because it's just one in, one out right now, which makes it difficult for field trips and that sort of thing to occur. So we looked kind of on the very detailed functional side too. So there would be some day one parking upgrades that could happen as well.
Okay, thank you.
I have 2 questions. One is, I know in kind of some of the early meetings, I don't want to quote, but I think it was the balloon races. I know some of the large events were kind of really concerned about the potential loss of parking, specifically like the upper field, kind of above, or I guess I'll say just west of the greenhouse.
Yep.
So I guess, is there a net loss or gain of parking spaces overall with these changes? And are they, have they been involved in seeing these drafts, and are they okay with how that gain or loss may affect, or just change in location may affect their events?
Yeah, a lot of it has changed location. The Great Reno Balloon Race has been involved in this from the beginning. They were one of the key stakeholders from a user and event standpoint, and somebody that we've followed up on an individual basis as we've kind of been working through some of the diagrams that you saw at the end. I can say from a near term, it's a parking gain, and from a long term, if the tennis court area gets fully built out, if the Arboretum fully gets built out, you're probably a slight loss. Generally staying around the same. I think we were 3,400. Near term gets up to like 3,700. Long term, like 3,200. So within that same goal. I will say that the access and immediate parking improvements, like the access out of McCarran, the new roadway, some of the parking lot improvements from a functionality standpoint, from VIP members, from loading, unloading, that sort of thing will be drastically improved. But there is a discussion, an ongoing discussion, if that event grows, there's a balance between how much of that need is placed on the park versus and kind of, again, daily functions of the park and aesthetics of the park versus, potential other solutions that can serve, large regional events. And so we've been balancing that. We've been working really closely with the county team. We've been working really closely with Great Reno Balloon Race. Much that we have done through better accessibility through the tunnel, new accessible routes that will connect. One thing there's so much stuff in this plan, it's tough to cover it all. But one key recommendation is continuing that loop around the south softball fields, and then having another entrance exit there and a parking lot there. And so one thing that doesn't happen a ton right now with the use of the Sorry, it's weird to see yourself on screen and talk at the same time. One thing that's odd, or that's not fully taken advantage of, is all the parking area to the north, because there's not great connectivity. And so if we were to create accessible pathways from those parking lots, the new south one and the new north one, down through the tunnel, that's where we're taking and making up a lot of those parking stalls lost with the Arboretum expansion. So it's been kind of a ongoing issue and an ongoing conversation, but yes, the Great Runa Balloon Race has been in the conversation from day one.
And they're okay with where we're at now?
I would say that's my understanding, yep.
Okay, okay. And my second question on the maintenance yard area, so relocating the kind of the park office area from over by the ranch house into the maintenance yard, it looked like there was also like another shop building going in. My concern is, was the yard expanding at all to accommodate some of those additional buildings? Because it can get pretty packed at certain times of the year right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, it does, yeah.
Yeah, and we worked with the county, the staff on site now to look at what they actually need and made a list of their priorities and checked those size requirements to make sure that what we're showing does work for them and is what they're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Commissioner Hill here. I have 3 questions. I'll try to keep it brief. First, I'm curious how long the master planning process was. When did it start? From then to today, how long was that?
So contract was March of this year, and the first stakeholder engagement meetings were April of this year.
Great. The second question I have is you mentioned one of the stakeholder groups is the Reno Sparks Indian Colony, and I'm just curious if you can speak to the nature of some of their feedback, and now on the other side of this, do you feel like that their feedback has been incorporated?
Yes, they were part of the stakeholder groups. I think their feedback was interesting. And to be blunt and straightforward, some of the feedback we had was stop just putting our community next to nature and anything that's old. We want to be part of what's new about the park and part of the areas that are celebrated. And I think what was important to their representatives that we spoke to was the ability to tell their story and be visible. And so I think when we think about new things like community plazas, we think about new, things going in with the Great Basin Adventure area and things that are exciting and fun and not just by nature, being able to integrate their story in the public art section. We did reference that as well, about looking for opportunities beyond just kind of what you normally see to celebrate their history. And so, yes, they were part of the process, and I think that was a good feedback and eye-opening. It's like just like the vast monuments out in nature, and you go out to that. It's like, no, we want to be involved in what's community, the picnic area down by the lake, the new dock experience, the amphitheater, how those things are named, how those things are designed, where celebrations occur, their community should be represented.
Fantastic. And you feel like the incorporation of those ideas are represented in the plan?
Yes.
Yeah. Great. Last question is, can you speak a little bit more on the special district? It's in the report. I'm just curious. I know you mentioned a couple other examples. I'm curious of kind of the organization of that and where it fits within sort of the county commissions and boards, and how does that work?
Yes, and I know it's something that's actively. Oh, do you want to take it?
Sure. Go for it. Yeah. Sure. For the record, Eric Crump with Washington County's Community Services Department. Commissioner Hill, I don't think you were a commissioner at the time, so we brought an item back in the 2017 legislature. There was some enabling legislation that allowed Nevada to create park districts. So we've been working with both City of Reno and City of Sparks. We've brought several items to this commission, all the way to the point of making a recommendation. The very first step in that legislation is for the agencies to develop what's called a service plan, basically identifying what needs are not being met. And so we took an item to this commission that recommended the board take their steps towards a service plan. We're kind of been waiting and working with, at the staff level, City of Sparks and City of Reno. So we're slowly pushing that gigantic boulder uphill, but there is still momentum. It's not coming down on us yet, so.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
I'm just going to offer one more, just think something in terms of beyond service plans and assessments and that sort of thing. I think one thing that we've noticed with districts before is also the creation of a singular entity to accept philanthropy, donations, sponsorships, that sort of thing. We're seeing that trend in public facilities a bit. And so having something in place overseeing the Parks District, if there's something from like a naming or somebody just has a large gift that they want to give to the park, you look at the history of this park in particular and how that might be applicable, that starts to put a board and a nice group together that can make sure those funds are going to the appropriate places.
Who ultimately oversees that board? Who does that board ultimately oversee? And who are the participants of that board?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, Eric.
For the record, Eric Crump, so the Park District would have its own board. They would be elected. And the legislation is very flexible. A park district can be very small. It could be very large. In meeting with staff and bringing it to each of the jurisdictions' respective park commissions, it was kind of, the direction was, this doesn't work unless it's basically all City of Reno, all City of Sparks, all Washoe County. There could be some other type of carve out that could be, but basically you develop the geographic area of the park district. And it can actually, according to the legislation, it can be cross county too. So it could be part of Story County. It could be lots of different things. There's lots of flexibility. But once that's kind of determined, then there's a board. All the staff associated with that park district now are working for that respective board. It's in essence its own jurisdiction.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. If there's no other discussion or questions from commissioners, entertain a motion.
Commissioner Jones, I move to adopt the 2024 Rancho San Rafael Regional Park Master Plan.
Commissioner Dake, I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
Yes, I have Rod Dimmitt.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Rod Dimmitt, and I'm a member of the May Arboretum Society and on the board, and we are one of the stakeholders that participated in this process. We want to thank Faye Marie for the opportunity to participate in that. For those of you that aren't aware, the May Arboretum Society is the nonprofit that supports the Arboretum, and we were the beneficiary in 2016 of a $5 million endowment donation, and that since 2017, we've contributed $1.5 million towards the operation of the Arboretum. And that comes in the form of staff, new garden upgrades, irrigation redos. We're currently funding 2 full-time FTEs that work in the garden, and we're funding 1.5 FTEs that are actually doing the education program that's happening at the Arboretum currently. The garden is a real jewel that we have. The May Arboretum is the only sanctioned Arboretum, if you will, in the state of Nevada. ArbNet, which is the sanctioning body for Arboretums around the world, is administered by the Morton Registrar of Arboreta, and the May Arboretum is a level 2 out of a potential level 4. So, and the Arboretum is real close to becoming a level 3 garden, and that would make it one of the top gardens in the world. On behalf of the May Arboretum Society and all of its members, we wanted to, my thought purpose of being here today was really to say we love this plan. The opportunity to participate, the steps that went through, the vision for the Arboretum and for the Farms and Families area, we just are 100% behind that. one of the things that we really loved about the process is being involved and seeing the new visitor center plan, seeing the cactus and succulent garden design being incorporated into that. It's just going to make it a world-class garden. The Mayor Breedham Society's goal is to have the Mayor Breedham be a world-class destination and a world-class garden so that people would be coming here specifically just to see our Arboretum. I think I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to speak. Thank you for the opportunity to participate.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment?
I have no further public comment in chambers. I have no hands raised on Zoom.
Thank you very much. Before I call for a vote, I'm just going to, I'd like to state that I'm going to abstain from the vote. Although there's no funding attached to this plan, there are aspects of it that relate to trails, and I have a business building trails, and if funding ever comes forward, I may bid on some of those projects that are suggested by this plan, and I feel out of an abundance of caution that I should abstain from voting on it. But that being said, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Congratulations, and thank you, Faye Marie, for all of your efforts in moving this plan forward. Item number 8. Presentation, discussion, and possible recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners to approve an agreement between Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation and Washoe County for the ongoing upkeep and maintenance of the 3-disc golf courses within Washoe County Parks at Rancho, South Valleys, and Sun Valley Regional Parks.
For the record, Colleen Wallace Barnum, thank you. So today, I'm going to just really introduce the item, and then we have two representatives. We have Claire McHenry from Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation, and we have Eric Wanhoff from Reno Disc Golf Association, and they'll be providing the presentation. So I just wanted to cue it up for everyone. And just a quick summary of the item itself. Washoe County Parks currently has 3 disc golf courses. We have one at Rancho San Rafael Regional Park, Sun Valley Regional Park, as well as South Valleys Regional Park. Those 3 courses were built and have been built and maintained by the Reno Disc Golf Association since 2008, when the first course was built. And currently, Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation has really come forward to say that they could potentially be this umbrella organization, sort of managing the agreement to upkeep and maintain those golf courses. And I'll have Eric and Claire kind of provide a little bit more clarity. So there's a sub-agreement between those two entities. And what benefits kind of the larger region for that sub-agreement is that there's also disc golf course in City of Reno. So this kind of helps them, be able to manage, in more than just one jurisdiction. So those different golf courses that they both build and maintain. So I would like to welcome up both Claire and Eric. This is how you go through the slides. Okay. And then, okay. There you go.
For the record, Claire McHenry, Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation. The Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation protects and enhances our community's livability through public engagement, education, and the sustainability of our parks, open spaces, and trails. And one of the ways that we do that is through partnerships with other organizations and acting as a fiscal sponsor. And one of our partners is the Reno Disc Golf Association. And I'm going to hand it off to Eric to talk more about this program itself.
Thank you, Claire. Is this thing good? Okay. Eric Wanhoff, for the record, Treasurer of Reno Disc Golf Association since 2012. So we've been working on an agreement with Washoe County for quite some time. We've built courses on the properties, but haven't had a formal agreement. And we've been trying to get something more definitive. And Reno Disc Golf, a smaller focused group, had a hard time reaching the robustness and continuity that's provided by the Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation. So I think this is the button. Oop, maybe too far. One back. So we have kind of common missions, and we both want to enrich the community through our parks. We want people to go out there and participate in these spaces. Disc golf needs those spaces that are wider and more open, that's offered by the county-type parks, not the small little walking parks or dog parks that are often offered. Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation wants to improve that livability, has an overall global sort of look at the parks that wants to improve sustainability, endurance, and long sort of vision to slowly improve our community through that sort of engagement. And Reno Disc Golf is one of those small niche communities that would utilize a portion of the park in general. And so we have a big broad goal plus our small niche goals of our two groups. And so I think we can offer a more robust organization to Washoe County through a partnership, because the Parks Foundation, been around 10 years, has existing relationships, constant eyes on the parks groups, volunteer coordination experience, trails experience, nature experience, sustainability skills, those type of organizational tools, apps for volunteers, waiver management, and a lot of constant meetings and discussion, whereas the RDGA is focused on building these courses, providing these small resources. We pop in and out of the relationships as new opportunities show up or something happens, right? We're both managing the organized play as well as the sustainability. And so it's sort of half of our mission to help with the maintenance of the courses themselves, which is what we're really focusing on in this agreement, as well as opportunities for growth and other flow down things. So I think between our two groups, we have a lot of tools and volunteers. We have an existing network of fundraising, right? We collect $1 or $2 here, there. So we have the funding and all that stuff in place. We don't have the big oversight kind of vision that maybe Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation have. So I think it's going to be a good partnership. Actually pretty excited about it. If you look at our program that we have as a partnership, there's basically 3 sort of areas that are going to be managed. We're going to have this ongoing upkeep and maintenance sort of group. These are the core team that do a lot of the work, people on the board that have a lot of the tools, keep them in their garage, are there on a daily basis. And we're going to use that core group, sign up through their app to be able to count our hours, apply our hours. And we're also out there monitoring. We're the people who are using it. We're playing. We'll notice when like a fence post has been pushed over or there's some barbed wire dragging around, right? Something like that. We're going to, like a fence or a sign has been vandalized or something like that, we'll fix those as part of the ongoing maintenance, as well as the disc golf course equipment itself, which is the tee pad is dirtier, it's got a chunk missing out of a bench, or things like that. That ongoing maintenance to keep the current status quo as it is safe and accessible and playable for everyone around the town. The second part of it is sort of this opportunities for improvements or modifications and new construction. Maybe we have space for a new course somewhere, or we have a big program. Like last year, we put in a lot of split rail fence in place of barbed wire fence. We pulled it out. We need a lot of volunteers for that. So we called in the bigger audience to do that. And that took a lot more coordination. That would be in discussion and approval, proposal to Washoe County, and then approval and feedback and scheduling, that type of thing. Then the third type would be owner flow down, as we probably just heard in the Rancho plan, right? There's relocation of some disc golf holes from above that, hey, we need to coordinate the change of this and make room for a parking lot and pickleball and those type of things, right? So that we can, share the course or the parks together, right? And, or maybe there's some concern that comes up, right? So the flow down from the top, the new ideas from the bottom, and then this overall maintenance program. That's kind of what we're looking at with this group. And so like a shared notification and group so that everybody feels like they're being heard and feedback and everybody gets what they expect, right? So I think this is the program that maybe, it's going to make it a lot more formal and bring in new opportunities. So we're happy to engage in this program as well as endorse the Rancho master plan, and we were stakeholders there, so we appreciate that. Looking at it, we've got Rancho San Rafael, 2008. That's why our organization was formed. That's when we got our 501c3. It's got a 4.0 rating, 19 holes, standard style golf course. Sun Valley Regional Park, much bigger, a lot of open space. Almost nobody used that park before we got there. It's got 36 holes, including like a beginner course and a big, giant, challenging course for others, as much as you'd want. Good ratings there. And then South Valley's Regional Park, we call it the Wedge. It's on Wedge Parkway. 9 holes. It's in a really rough canyon area that really probably wouldn't have gotten other use. Good rating. Neighborhood people love it. Play it to death. So those contributions, those courses are what we talk about when we're asking for, a few tournaments where we can reserve the course for our own events. And so that's the equitable contribution, is the course use on occasions. Okay, and during COVID, people previously in golf kept track in their heads, they kept track on paper. There wasn't very many metrics. When COVID hit, an application called UDisc on your phone kept track of scores, super adopted, gave us the opportunity to get real metrics. And it turns out there's 10,000 courses in the United States. Nevada has 40. We're a little low. Similar sized places have more than that, so we're always looking for opportunities. What we found is that courses close to the population help. We're hoping to do more in the city of Reno, small neighborhood courses. Mayor's Park instead with the city of Reno is the first city of Reno course. Went in a couple years ago. Really good thing. RDJ has about 150 members that pay annually to a small membership fee. And we've got 2,600 members on our local Facebook page. This is sort of the first that we've seen of like real statistics for disc golf in the area. The next slide here, rounds played annually, 50 to 80,000 we feel that are in the greater Reno area. So that's the 3 courses in Washoe County, Washoe Golf Course, and then that Mayor's Park instead. And what we found is if we add more disc golf courses, we add more disc golf players. Rancho San Rafael, significantly the most popular course in our area. So the way we got to this 50,000 is there were 16,000 annually for 4 years in a row recorded on the app. Not everybody uses it. It's projected by a statistics professor, it's 5 to 1. Conservatively, if we said it was 3 to 1, that puts us at 50 to 80,000 rounds of golf per year. And that's a mile, 2 miles of hiking, couple hours of walking around. So we have a lot of play. And we were talking earlier, I heard the stat about pickleball's always got somebody in it. If you divide that number to the average day, to every course, somebody shows up about every hour to play disc golf in our region. And that's pretty good. We're looking for new opportunities. That overall area, we've seen growth, Fallon, Fernley, Portola, extra stuff. So quite a bit's grown in just our area. And you can see in the last 10 years that we've got 10 new courses. So that one course a year kind of thing is kind of kicking in. We're doing well, and we're all excited to do it. So any of this information, you're welcome to. We can share that. But This is the agreement. I appreciate Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation very much, but really we'll keep it short and answer any questions you might have. But this is to support the agreement that we're going to have with Washoe.
Thank you, Eric. I wanted to add just a little bit more information. So I think that was a really good presentation, and Eric has been involved from the beginning for Reno Disc Golf Association. So the agreement shows that we would have the agreement through Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation, but then there's that sub-agreement for disc golf course stewardship through Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation and Reno Disc Golf Association. Basically, I mean, since inception, I think RDGA has put on about 3 events a year. And they've requested a fee waiver based on, the maintenance and upkeep of the courses, and we would maintain that. We actually put in the agreement that they could have up to 6. It's roughly, the annual fees may change from time to time, but currently the financial impact is about $675,000 annually, but that's, a far cry from probably how much they're putting towards the courses in terms of their maintenance and upkeep. So we feel it's in the best interest of the county just to have this, this relationship formalized. I think bringing in Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation was a great way to, create that relationship that can also expand out for Reno Disc Golf into other areas of the region. So any questions for either Eric or Claire or myself?
I do have one question. Can you just clarify when you talked about the financial impact? I heard 600 to 700,000.
Oh, no, $675. $675.
The impact is $675.
Yeah, annually, annually. So it's roughly $225 per event, 3 events.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, and then I did want to mention that at the time that I did the staff report, we didn't have the dates for the 2025 Board of County Commission meeting. So if we would bring it to the January 14th, it says January XX, it would be January 14th. That's the date. So it would be January 14th of 2025 to January 14th of 2030. It's a 5-year agreement.
Are there more courses, like you listed several courses in other surrounding communities? Are those also under the RDGA purview, or do you just have the 3 with Washoe County?
The 3 with Washoe County are what we're talking about in this agreement here with Washoe. RDGA has helped support, like the City of Reno course. We designed that one. That one was funded by a grant, but we'll make donations to those or give them advice, sort of regional support. We're by far the biggest group within 100 miles, so we'll go up to Tahoe and help them do on-build days, but these are our courses here in Washoe County only, right? So that's where our territory is, so to speak.
Okay, so you have agreements with other jurisdictions where you have courses like at Mayor's Park, you have an agreement with the City of Reno to help maintain
that one's managed by them. That's not a formal agreement. This will be the first formal agreement that RDGA has with another body through the Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation.
Okay. Well, but you currently have an agreement with Washoe County, correct? Oh, there isn't one. Gotcha.
We formed in 2008 at the request of Washoe County, but there was never a formal agreement until this point.
Okay, so when you're out there doing maintenance at, let's say, Sun Valley.
Grassroots coordination.
You're not reporting those volunteer hours, et cetera.
We've signed waivers and things like that, but it was coordinated through rangers and with directors and opportunities.
Gotcha.
Individual, so South Valley's, we made a proposal that was reviewed and signed and done that way on like small piecework. This is a more global encompassing agreement, so that doesn't have to be done every time and everybody gets their direction that they'd want.
Okay, so like so now with TM, if you go to put on one of your tournaments, is TM Parks Foundation then the holding the event, or is it still under RDGA?
It would be, the Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation would be requesting the events on behalf of RDGA through that disc golf course agreement.
On behalf of the disc golf stewardship program that we've entered together.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then are they going to take some of your membership fees now to cover the administration of this stuff or some of the event fees? How does that work between the two groups?
So all the funding is proposed to be provided by Reno Disc Golf Association, no cost to Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation. So we've committed to provide to the best of our financial ability to Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation to achieve the sustainability requirements. We've been managing that consistently for about 15 years. Sustainability is replacing a new basket, new tee pads every 5 to 10 years, something like that. We make about $3,000 annually in donations, and except for administration fees like business licenses and stuff, I can happily say that all of our funds have gone to our local disc golf courses. No paid staff, anything like that. It's all for materials and support.
Okay, so you're maintaining your own bank account still?
Yes,
and
we're
you
not
get a
dissolving
donation
or
in,
anything
you're
like that.
paying
We're
for
not, it's just to meet the expectations and share skills and resources. So we're kind of the small guy and getting a little bigger.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion if there is desire.
Mark Newman. Mark Newman for the records. I'd move to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners to approve agreement between Washoe County and Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation, TMPF, for an ongoing upkeep and maintenance of 3 disc golf courses within Washoe County Parks at Rancho San Rafael, fees associated with up to 6 golf events per year for the term of 5 years, commencing January 2025 through January 2030.
Do we have a second?
Commissioner Jones, I second the motion.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on this item?
I have no public comment in chambers. I have no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay. I'd like to ask council, so I have done some work for TM in the past and donated to them as well. I don't really see a conflict on this, but what are your thoughts? Should I abstain from voting on it?
Deputy District Attorney Lindsay Liddell, for the record, based on what you've described, it doesn't sound like you have any pecuniary interest in this agreement, so I don't see a blatant reason for you to abstain. Certainly, you're welcome to if you'd like to, but it doesn't seem like this is a blatant conflict or ethics issue for you.
Thank you for that clarification. Let's see, we already got the second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you very much. Motion passes. Congratulations on your new agreement. Good luck out there.
Back to
Item number 9, Park Program of the Month, Robert Z. Hawkins Amphitheater Season Recap. From District Manager Brian Harrower and Park Ranger Todd Harmon.
Hello, for the record, Brian Harrower, District Park Manager, Community Services Department with Washoe County. We are here to provide an update for the Robert C. Hawkins Amphitheater 2024 season and give some background and just some information about the facility. So just a little bit of a background here. This is a rather unique facility here in Washoe County. One of the reasons that we wanted to highlight it is that it is something that is very valued by our community. It is very unique in our community, and it is something that, if you've been there, it provides an experience that is, it's something that you will remember. And so it's something that we want to be able to share and have out there for as many people as we can in our community to enjoy, and wanted to just give you a little bit more of the background and history on it. So the Robert Z. Hawkins Amphitheater was open to the public in August of 1999. It was funded by a donation from the Robert Z. Hawkins Foundation. It does have 403 permanent seats and then 500 to 600 capacity seated in the grass for a total capacity of 1,000 people. It is open May through October. The reason for this is that it is basically an open air facility. There is, in the cold months of the year, it's not going to be utilized well. And actually, in May, beginning of May, end of October, it's a little chilly and it's almost a little bit much for a lot of our groups to use. So our highest time of use is June, July, and August, and is very much more of a summer activity there. But it can be used by the public for public venue as for their concerts and other shows. So we do have individuals that will come in, rent the facility, and then they can put on their own shows, be able to provide their own resources, and people can come out and enjoy those. But it can be for private events as well. They've used it for graduations, large church events, and also weddings in the past. One of our partnerships with this facility is Star Sound Audio. Star Sound is the exclusive sound and lighting provider to Washoe County, and it has been ever since this amphitheater had opened. They are responsible and help us with the setup and takedown each year. So they come out, set up the lighting, set up the sound system, and then take them down at the end. We also have a very large net system that we have to put up, otherwise the birds and our critters tend to make a mess, and it makes our cleanup and reopening the facility next year much more difficult, so they have assisted with that. One of their other very important functions is because they are so familiar with and utilize the facility, they really know what would be best for the improvements, and so they do provide us with recommendations as to what would help this facility operate the best for the greater good for the community. And then they also assist us with procuring, installing, and moving forward with those recommended infrastructure improvements. Just kind of a layout of the facility. So if you haven't been on the inside, and even if you haven't been on the inside, this is kind of a different view of it. Stage right there in the center. If you look to the right-hand side of the stage, that is what we would refer to as the green room. That's typically where your talent is going to be in between shows and able to, take a break in between their sets. Left-hand side of the stage is your more working space for your lighting and audio. There's going to be staff over there, and they will be staging some of their people that will come out in between acts as well. And then backstage is behind the curtain area. Then you've got your restrooms and infrastructure as far as your electrical and storage. So what I wanted to do is we have Park Ranger Todd Harmon here. Todd Harmon is our newest member of our Park Ranger staff, but he is also was the recreation specialist that has operated this facility for the last 2 years. Figured it was a great opportunity to give a literal peek behind the curtain as to how operations happen at this facility. So I'd like to hand this over to Todd Harmon.
Thank you, Brian. For the record, Todd Harmon, Park Ranger, Rancho San Rafael. So I wanted to give you an opportunity or just kind of listen to a day in the life of a recreational specialist, which was the theater manager at the Hawkins Amphitheater. So I worked 2023 and 2024 season this year, the past 2 seasons, and typically I would start around the middle of May, sometimes the first week of May, and basically would open up the amphitheater. It was typically winterized in the fall, and so then I would come in and clean and disinfect, mop facility, as well as prepare guests and the guest and performer restrooms, so because those come pretty dirtied over the wintertime. We would install the awning cover and turn on utilities for the vendor area. That's where our food trucks would be for the performances. We would typically unbag the black curtains and have cleaned for the season. Those we would bag and put in trash cans to keep them off the floor during the wintertime. We'd set up the green room, make sure the tables and chairs were all cleaned, sanitized, and then make sure the refrigerator, microwaves were working as well. And then I would inspect the facility for any needed repairs that happened over the wintertime. Oop, other way. There we go. So this would be a typical Showtime day. So coming in, I would arrive and unlock all the doors for the clients in Star Sound. Then I would open up the guest restrooms, clean and stock as necessary. I would greet the clients and go over any special needs for the day. I would set up directional parking signs and chalk spaces as needed for parking. I would greet the food trucks and position them properly. I would meet with the client volunteers and security to review parking and entry gate assignments. And then I would help manage the main gate for no glass, no pet entry. Once performance starts, I would check restrooms and garbage periodically. I would then clear the parking signs and set the marquee for the next show. Afterwards, I'd be visible for any questions or problems that may occur during the performance. And then after the performance, make sure all guests have exited the amphitheater. I would supervise the cleanup and seating area and the green room, and take all garbage to dumpster and then secure building after load out. Uh-oh. There we go. So one thing I wanted to talk about, we're really excited about as well, is some of the improvements that happened over the wintertime this past year. And so we did install a new roll-up door to replace the old accordion-style doors, which definitely helped increase the working space there. It allowed for the performers with stages and props and marley flooring to not be moved after each performance. And then also, to improve the green room area, we did get a new used refrigerator that was donated, as well as a new industrial microwave that was heavily used. And then also, we had a couple of large trees removed per safety, and then also for visibility and aesthetics reasons. Oh, yep.
Again, for the record, Brian Harrower. Just wanted to actually draw your attention again to this door because it looks like a garage door. It is huge. It is massive. It was actually a really, really big improvement. I, many years ago, was one of the ones who was responsible for helping getting this theater open when we did have groups, and the big doors that used to be there were an immense pain. The amount of appreciation and improved use that these have provided has been huge. So it may just look like a garage door, but it is a very, very beneficial addition to the park and to the facility. Just wanted to highlight a few of the past artists that we have had at Hawkins Amphitheater. It's a smaller venue, but we have had some notable names there. Chris Christopherson has played there in the past, Dave Grisman, UB40, Clint Black, Lacey J. Dalton, Damian Marley, and then this year we had Dionne Warwick. I just wanted to highlight a few of those to show the variation in the acts and what is shown at this venue. There's something for everyone. And if there was someone that you really wanted to see and they came to this venue, it's a very special experience. It's a very intimate venue. It's one of those places that you're not going to be able to recreate that experience. It's not a sterile, urban, all concrete venue. It's got a feel to it. And if you get to see someone that you really enjoy there, it's an experience that you won't soon forget. Just some numbers on this year. We did have an average attendance of 530 attendees per show. It did go up and down quite a bit, but some of these are smaller groups. This was for people that, some of them, they weren't intending to have 1,000-person sellout. This was an ideal venue for them and their 200, 300 attendees. So, it's not unsuccessful if you have a small amount attend your venue, if that's what you're looking for. But we do have the ability to have the sold-out large performances, such as Dionne Warwick. That was actually one of the Art Town shows and was very well attended, very, very highly thought of, and was a great show for the theater. And just kind of a breakdown here of what the type of shows were that we had. There were 16 of your more traditional concerts, 8 musicals, 3 orchestras. I did call out orchestras specifically as a different type of event because there's a lot of different setup that goes into it. It's typically a different group that is attending it. So it is an overall different animal when it comes to the presentation, but they were very well received and have, it's one of the best venues in town for an orchestra. It just has, again, that certain feel. We have had 3 ballets and then 1 very large graduation. So just some of our production partners, we do work with other agencies or groups to be able to put on these concerts or shows. We don't actually produce these in-house. There is the desire to possibly do that in the future, but currently we work very closely with Art Town. As I said, the Dionne Warwick show was our most attended show and was one that was put on by Art Town. We also have Sierra Nevada School of Performing Arts. They've been using this facility for many years. They love this facility, and now with the improved door, it works great for them. So very happy to have some of these local acts that we're able to support and provide a home to. And then we had the Northern Nevada Night Skies, which was a private promoter who brought in several concerts. Again, very well attended. Was very happy, I believe, with his what he was able to do to support this facility, but also, I think there's more opportunity for expansion and other people to bring in those type of events as well. And then Choral Academy has been holding their graduations there for a while, and so has been a long-standing partner and is just another group that really utilizes that facility to its full potential. Some of the future improvements that we'd like to see at this facility, we have speakers on each side of the stage. It has been requested by multiple of our groups and also by Star Sound to move those speakers up to the top of the stage, higher up in the house. When you have them down low, you're blowing out everyone that sits in that front row. It's very hard for people to sit there and enjoy it when you have it loud enough for the people up in the grass to be able to hear. So moving those up would provide better coverage. They could put in a new sound system that would be very focused for that specific application and sound better, and also provide a better experience for those people in the front row. We did have our landscape lighting was damaged previously, so we're looking at this as an opportunity to upgrade and improve that lighting. This isn't in downtown Reno. There isn't a lot of ambient light. It's a pretty dark area out there. So having this very well lit is good for safety, and also it just looks nice and provides a good ambiance. We do want to install a permanent Cat5 cable, which is basically going to provide the access up to our sound engineers and our lighting engineers. This is something that we run every show currently, so it makes for a little bit of lag and setup, but also that cable has been damaged in the process of being set up and taken down multiple times. So if we had it permanently in place for the season, it would be a big benefit. We are in the process of getting the seats powder coated. It's been 25 years. They're starting to show a little bit of wear and tear. They're going to be nice, shiny, new green seats for next season. And then we do have some slumping and cracking concrete that does need to be repaired as well. Just a couple things for the public feedback. I'm sure that this was Todd talking with some of our concert goers as they left, and it's always good to hear the experiences that they had out there. So it is a nice outdoor venue. Cools off nicely in the evening during the summer, which it truly does. If you have been there, it sits right in the shadow, right below Windy Hill, and so as soon as that sun drops below the hillside, you get the nice cool breeze coming through, and it is just a great place to spend a summer evening listening to music. Probably one of my favorite venues in Reno, just accept the fact that it's going to take a while to exit the parking lot. When you do have a sellout show, you have one ingress, one egress from the park. So it does take a little bit of time to get out of there, but it's one of those things that people are aware of, and most people are more than happy to do that. Then the last one, all seats have a good view of the stage. Wonderful location on a warm summer Reno evening to view a performance. Come early and have a picnic. So as I said, it's kind of hard getting out of there sometimes, but everyone gets there early because it's just a great feel before the concert. You can sit out on the lawn, you can enjoy your picnic, and then you get to have a show. So it's a full experience, and the park is a great place for that. I just wanted to end with kind of just a feel and a picture of what this venue looks like. It is a very pastoral feel around there. I think Bartley Ranch is the perfect place for it. You don't feel like you're in the middle of the city. You have a pasture right behind you. You've got trees all around you. It just has the feel that you'd be looking for if you want to do something a little different, and just something that we should all really be proud of. Any questions for myself or Todd?
Thank you guys very much. Any questions or comments from commissioners?
Yeah, Commissioner Hill, just curious, you mentioned some of the future improvements. Curious if A, you feel like you have the budget to make those improvements, and B, are you going to is that a list that you'd like to tackle before next year, like moving the speakers, or some of those further out?
Thank you. Great question. Honestly, I think a lot of this is outside of what our budget could support, but we are very fortunate to have the support of the Robert C. Hawkins Foundation. They have continued their support of this facility since it was constructed, and we do meet with them annually, talk about the needs of the facility. Can't say that all of those are going to be prioritized this year, but I would highly expect that the speakers are going to be #1 priority, and they've always been very, very receptive to supporting us and the needs of that facility.
That's great. Love the facility, appreciate your passion for it, and thank you both for your work.
Thank you.
Chair Joel, for the record, have you guys ever tried opening, and I think it's getting pretty overgrown, but there's like a second gate that goes right out onto Lakeside, kind of from the old schoolhouse area? Have you ever opened that, like when one of the larger events happens, to see how that affects the exiting?
We could. It's a fire exit. It is accessible. We do have that open. The problem is that it would basically be putting people in I don't know how much it would divide that traffic, because you're putting them out 40 feet from, or 100 feet from each other on the same road. You might get some people that could turn left on that area, but it isn't a designated left turn and may cause some additional issues as far as traffic. So something we could look at. Haven't done it in the past, but it is an option we could consider.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you guys for presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 10, park reports.
Okay, for the record, Colleen Wallace-Parnham. Just a couple of things to highlight on the park reports, and certainly I'm happy to entertain any questions. But we've had, a handful of programs. The Keep Truckee Meadows Beautiful, we do a Truckee River cleanup, so that took place on September 21st. We had 20 sites for Washoe County, and included several of our parks, and then we always often wrap up at one of our regional parks for the barbecue. Different events that were going on throughout the parks. Bowers Mansion Living History Day. Also wanted to highlight Truckee Meadows Parks Foundation does a mansion tour on Nevada Day. And they've been doing that for a few years now. And then highlight just a few things coming up. We do have our Christmas trees for special families. We're going to harvest the trees tomorrow at Galena Creek Park. And then we will be giving those trees to those families that have signed up to get one the following Thursday. I believe it's maybe December 5th. Also wanted to let you know that Dragon Lights Reno is still going through November 30th. I think the visitation so far has been about 63,000 people have gone purchase tickets. So we're still seeing, and we have 2 more weeks of the event. So if you haven't been, please take the opportunity to go with your families. Hopefully all the commissioners were able to use your tickets and go. If not, get out there. It's going to be cold now, but that's okay. And then I just wanted to highlight the May Museum. Sorry, this is a little big. We've got our tuba, the upcoming, sorry, it doesn't have the upcoming. But we have our tuba Christmas that is it's going to be Saturday, December 7th, and that's always a popular event. So if you ever gone to that, it's really a cool event for the community. And then we usually have, it's if you haven't gone shopping at the museum, they have a really great gift store. It's a great way to support your local parks. Any questions on the reports?
Yeah, can you, this is Commissioner Dake, can you give us an update on what's going on with Davis Creek Park?
Right now, so we did 2 planting events for Davis Creek. We did one, so Galena Creek was part of the Davis Fire, so we did a planting event with the Sugar Pine Foundation, and we planted, I think it was 250-ish saplings, tiny little trees with a group. And then we did another planting event on the 15th and planted, I think, almost 800 plants on that day. It was last Friday. But right now, for the park itself, we did do a bunch of tests on the facilities that suffered damage in the fire. So we have our reports, and we are just awaiting some bids on. We need to get information on basically bids for demo for those structures. And then once we get those structures demoed, then we can go in and start, redoing the power and mostly the power infrastructure. And once the power infrastructure is reestablished, that will reestablish the water infrastructure, because it's really just the well pump and the electric that needs to go to that. So we're hopeful we can continue to see forward progress on the back end of those things, so.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Newman?
Mark Newman for the record. I got a text from Commissioner Garcia on the Sun Valley Bikes Park. It was approved for $488,000 contract to start.
Yes. It was yesterday, was approved by the Board of County Commissioners, yes. So the bid was awarded, and construction should begin sometime next month.
Any other questions or comments?
One more comment. Just wanted to let you know that we just finished all the work at Hidden Valley Regional Park. So all the work that was done, or that was needed to be done, to basically have the park back up to its pre-debris laden flood standard has been completed as of yesterday. So.
Very good.
Yep.
Well, thank you for your last parks reports that you have to do.
Of course.
Item number 11, Director's Report.
Good afternoon. For the record, Eric Crump with Washoe County's Community Services Department. Yesterday was a busy Board of County Commission day. There were several park-related items, so I'll just hit on some of the highlights. They awarded several bids. One, we awarded a bid to the Garden Shop Nursery and Landscaping Division for the installation of the first ever for Washoe County all-inclusive playground at Rancho San Rafael. The total project cost for that is just north of $1 million, so we're super excited about that. We've been working on that for a few years. We also awarded a bid to Resource Development Company for reconditioning of our water systems, our water tank systems at Bowers Mansion and Davis Creek. And then, as previously mentioned, we awarded a bid for the Sun Valley Bike Park. That project's just shy of $500,000, and that'll include like beginner, intermediate, and advanced track and trail, emergency access road, kiosk, and storage facility. The board also approved an easement. We basically accepted an easement to create or construct a portion of the Sierra Front Trail. This is near the Juniper Ridges subdivision. And then we also, they approved a easement exchange agreement with Sunny Hills. That was an easement exchange agreement that came to this commission. That was with some private property owners adjacent to Hidden Valley. And what that easement exchange agreement does is it allows us to drag effluent lines through that private property, provide effluent storage, our storage tank, and effluent to Hidden Valley Regional Park. It also directed staff to work on a potential access easement for Sunny Hills for the access of basically 4 parcels that they could develop. And in return, if that happens, there's a lot of moving parts of that, but if that occurs, we get in exchange a parcel for a trail that would connect Hidden Valley to some adjacent public lands to the south. So lots of moving parts there, but the very first thing this does is it grants easements to Washoe County for us to bring easement effluent to Hidden Valley. And this last item, probably the most exciting, the board accepted a $3.5 million grant from the William N. Pennington Foundation for the development of South Valley's Regional Park. So we're working on the development of that park right now. We actually just awarded a bid for the first phase of construction, so this will add on to that. This will allow us to build some softball fields, concession and restroom facility, and some associated infrastructure with those. And I just personally want to thank Colleen for fostering that relationship with the William N. Pennington Foundation, and it's because of that relationship that we were able to secure this grant. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Will it be possible to tie in that additional work with the work that was just bid, or is it going to be two separate?
Yeah, so the bids will be separate, but they'll be one after another. The beauty of the way this is being done is we awarded roughly a $800,000 design and engineering contract to Dow for design of the entire park. But knowing that we had some timelines associated with the ARPA funding and we needed to get some money on the ground, they've been kind of designing in phases. So they designed this first phase, this first package, so we could get a construction bid out and awarded prior to the end of the year. And they've been working on design of the entire park. So now it's really just now finishing that next piece of design that's going to be roughly $3.5 million, and we'll get that right out the door as well. And so you won't see a lag in construction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Very good.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Hill. Congratulations on the Pennington funding. That's exciting. And I just want to say I really appreciate the updates from the Board of County Commissioners meetings that are relevant to this body.
Great.
And mental note, I need to keep track of those agendas so I can, I would go to more of those meetings. I mean, time is always an issue, but yeah, thanks for the reminder, because I really do want to keep track of what's going on there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Crum. Item number 12, Commissioner requests for future agenda items or announcements. Hearing none.
I guess I'll throw this in. It doesn't really contain to the parks, but Commissioner Garcia is holding a cleanup in Sun Valley this weekend. Going to all meet at the Sun Valley Scalari's Warehouse Market at 9 o'clock. Go out in the desert, in the parks, and pick up garbage. If anybody's interested in doing a little community service, it wouldn't hurt. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any other commissioner announcements? All right, item number 13, public comments. Do we have any additional public comment?
Yes, I have Darla Lee.
Good afternoon. Darla Lee for the record. I wanted to echo the comments of Rod Dimas about the 2024 Rancho San Rafael Park Master Plan, which I also think is great. Also, as a past volunteer at the Arboretum and a member of the May Arboretum Society, I wanted to speak about the Dragon Lights events that have been happening for, is it 3 years now? So if I understand correctly, you folks would be in a position to renegotiate for the Dragon Lights event. And I wanted to urge you to consider not doing that for at least several years. My reason is not because of the event itself, which I realize has been enjoyable to many and is profitable, but I am very concerned about the damage that the Dragon Light setup and teardown does to the Arboretum. And it does take time for the Arboretum to recover. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I know it's been mentioned before concerning this event, but I'm speaking just for myself, but I know others are concerned from, at the Arboretum also. And so we want to have the Arboretum remain a wonderful place that we all love to walk and enjoy nature. And I think having a period of time for the Arboretum to not have dragon lights there on a consecutive yearly basis would be a much better plan. So I hope you'll consider that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does staff note that? I know there were some issues previously that we talked about. Thank you. Any other public comment?
No further public comment in chambers, no hands raised on Zoom.
All righty.
You know what time it is? Call it.
That being said, we are adjourned.